So, as you mentioned, big news coming out of New York. The Jets, in the wake of their loss on Sunday to the Pittsburgh Steelers, as you recall, that game where they were up by 2 scores, actually. Aaron Rodgers marches them down, scores a touchdown. On the ensuing kickoff, Xavier Gipson fumbles the ball. A couple plays later, Aaron Rodgers scores again. Suddenly, a 2-score lead is suddenly a deficit, and Pittsburgh goes on to win the game. Well, Gipson was relieved of his duties on Wednesday. And when asked about it, Aaron Glenn put a message out to the rest of his team. Take a listen.
We released Xavier Gipson, and we will be bringing in some other guys. We already brought one guy in, Isaiah Williams, who I know. He was with us in Detroit. I think 23 or 24. He was with us. And then we're going to look at some guys that's in-house. And I want to be known that decisions that's made are not rash decisions, and they're never based off of one incident. So, and I will keep it at that. Xavier is a really good player, and he's going to play in this league. But I felt there was time for us to move on in another direction.
This is where Aaron Glenn lost me, and he's playing a very dangerous game. Here's the issue I have. He's saying it wasn't rash. No, he felt like they lost him the game, and that's what you do with players. We just had Trey Wingo on, and he talked about it. If that was a better player and that happened, would he be released today?
No.
Of course not. And you got to be careful because players see through that. You used him as a scapegoat to make yourself big and bad. Go cut a former Pro Bowler or somebody who made a big mistake in a big situation. Now you got my attention. Oh that guy was a Pro Bowler. That guy was a really good player. Wow. Cutting the low-hanging fruit, and acting big and bad like you've done something. You didn't do anything. This guy came in, I read, he had 10 fumbles. That was his 10th fumble. So guess what he does sometimes? He fumbles the ball. Not new. So I just think you better be careful. You got to back this up because if somebody else, you've now set itself up. And then to get up there and say it's not a rash decision. Yes, it was. Because had you won the game, you think he would have been caught? No. You lost. Let me put it on this kid so it's not on me. And then got the nerve to say he's a really good player and he's going to play in this league. I would have said, well, why did you let him go? Why did you release him? Aaron Glenn, is this on? It makes no sense. Aaron Glenn said he's a really good player and he's going to play in this league. And it wasn't a rash decision. He didn't cut the guy after week 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
He fumbled. He felt like they lost. You blew my opening game as a coach, and now I'm going to make you pay because you did that to me. You better be careful. Players know what you're doing, which is making people who you think are lower level, who don't have you can just discard whenever you want because if that was one of their better players, ain't no way that they're cutting them on week 1 because they fumbled. You can't be that. You can't play that game. That comes back to bite you, and people lose respect for you if you start doing that and just picking the low-hanging fruit.
Listen, talent buys you a longer leash, right? If you're Jalen Carter and I spit on somebody, I spit on Dak, suspended the one game he missed, or they were suspending him another game, they weren't going to release him. We've seen guys do some wild stuff, whether it be getting issues off the field, on the field, missed plays. Let me tell you who ain't getting kicked off the team, who made a fumble mistake. Derrick Henry.
Perfect example.
Big time fumble. 4th quarter, the Bills are coming back. One of the best running backs, maybe the best outside of Saquon, however you want to do it, fumbles. You know what you do? You smack him on the helmet. You say, hey, we'll be all right. We're going to bounce back next game. Don't worry about it, big fella. Don't even worry about it. Because that's Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry ain't going nowhere. Now, maybe you want to be careful smacking Lamar Jackson on the head because he might push you and shove you up a little bit and rough you up a little bit. That's a story for another day. But so that's an easier thing to do for a guy who's a kick returner and who fumbles. But the one thing I did hear is when he said We don't do these things based off never one incident, is what he said. Never one incident. And so then you brought up the fumbling. The only thing I can think is if this guy, between fumbling, maybe was showing up late, and again, skill set aside, meaning if he was great, we already know. They'd be making up excuses. They'd be finding ways. So he must have done, whether it continues to fumble and practice stuff we never see, right? In practice.
He shouldn't have been out there.
Yeah,
he shouldn't have been out there.
When you're that guy and you're barely hanging on by a thread, you don't get the luxury of making a bunch of mistakes, let alone a crucial and critical mistake. You just don't have that luxury. Derrick Henry is afforded that. You're not. But I understand the ideology of false bravado. Coming out, pumping your chest, this is what I'm going to do. If you make mistakes, I'm going to let you go. So you want to be careful of false bravado. But, again, talent allows you a leash. It gives you grace that when you're a middling, fledgling player, you don't get. And another example of this, what Trey Wingo brought up earlier, but I watched the America's Team documentary. Jimmy Johnson, Trey brought him up, but watching that doc, you see he was known for that. Like, he was just known for, there was a running back who was filling in while the holdout, while Emmett was in his holdout. He was like, he fumbled a crucial play, cut him, get out. And I think Jimmy was a little more about that life than Aaron. Well, obviously, this is his first game, but Aaron. Because Jimmy, he ain't going to cut Emmett, but Jimmy was kind of in a psychotic approach to how this has to work.
I get that you need to do your job, and I'm not saying that people can't get cut. I just think you got to be careful because if next week they lose a game because of another fumble or an interception or Justin Fields throws 3 interceptions, what would be? Of course not.
Right.
Of course not. He had a bad game. You got to be careful because I think it's not a real message. Everybody knows why he was cut. Xavier was cut because he just felt like he wasn't. He's not a brand name player. I could just get rid of him. He's disposable.
He's a returner. I can get returners.
It's easy, right? It doesn't make your message resonate with people when you do it to the low-hanging fruit. That's really my thing. Like, you didn't gain anything in the locker room. Nobody goes, holy shit, they just got rid of. He was a Pro Bowler 2 years ago. Oh my, what? Oh wow. Now you got my attention. Nobody batted an eye. You know what they say? Coach made him a scapegoat. That's messed up. That's messed up.
Yeah. I'm not reading too far into it because, again, he was a kick returner. He fumbled in a crucial moment. He mentioned, again, never one incident. So I'm looking at it as he probably was on his last leg and you had the nerve to fumble in a critical moment. Get on up out of here. We'll go get somebody else. And he mentioned getting somebody from Detroit that they have familiarity with and continuity with.
So if that guy fumbles,
yeah, he's out of here too.
Is he? Okay.
He's out of here too.
So it's going to be like every week.
Every week. We about to have kickers. What's that movie Mark Wahlberg was in? Invincible? We about to have some tryouts. Who out here is good in New York? Anybody ex-football player, high school players?
You can't keep.
Jimmy Johnson, I'm going to use another example of what was gangster.
There's difference between Jimmy Johnson and Aaron.
Right. But gangster would be.
I don't even know how you can put those two.
No, because I'm using an example of what gangster is. Gangster is when Troy Aikman is your guy, he's your Pro Bowl quarterback. And what was the backup? Dang, forgot his name. I have to get it real quick. But the backup comes in, goes on a run. They win like 6 in a row. It gets them to the NFC and get into the postseason. And Jimmy Johnson looked at Troy and was like, nah, we still rolling with the backup. Because that doesn't happen to a Pro Bowl guy like a Troy Aikman, your quarterback. That is gangster right there to be like, nah, we're going to roll with this dude because, I believe he's hot. I believe he's the right choice. And they won a playoff game or two, and then they end up losing it without Troy playing. But I'm like, now that's a gangster coach move right there. If Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, or one of these guys is out for a little while, and you say, nah, go and have a seat. Even though he's back and healthy, nah, we're going to keep rolling with this backup. That's some gangster coaching right there.
Yeah. I think it's dangerous. That's all. Because I don't think you won over anybody. You didn't win over the room to say, if you make a mistake here, you got to be. And also what you've done, you're going to make players play a little different. And like, I can't make a mistake. Like, that's not how you want to play. You want to be natural. You don't want to be thinking about that. Is that what you want to do? Because everybody's not a star. Most players can be interchanged, right? So everybody's not a star. So now, do I want to play tight? Oh, my God, I can't make a mistake. What's going on? I need to do this. I'd rather be conservative rather than going full speed. Like all these other things. So you got to be careful what you're asking for. I just think Your first game, you lost. It's not the end of the world. You weren't even favorites in that game. I know it was at home. I know you felt like you should have won. But it ain't the end of the world. You didn't get embarrassed and the guy missed, fumbled 3 times or something of that proportion.
Rob, that's why I know it's personal for that guy, meaning this is what he hasn't been doing or hasn't been showing us in practice.
I totally disagree.
That's why I think it's this guy. Because
I don't think it has anything to do with that.
They played better than we thought.
Had they won the game and he fumbled, he would not be cut.
I think that this shows me.
You disagree with that? Had they won the game, you think he would have been cut?
I think he would have been cut because it's an expendable position. A returner, it's an expendable position.
You wouldn't cut a player.
It's not a starting cornerback. It's not a starting linebacker. That's an expendable
position. You're not making a change just to make a change. I mean, okay, people fumble all the time. That's why they have a stat called fumbles. That's why
I'm saying this must be a habitual line stepper. He must be showing up late to practice, or he must be dropping all the kickoffs in practice.
And he shouldn't have been out there.
And they gave him a shot. They're like, man, you out of here. Get out.
You crazy.
Get out of here. That's what they're doing.
You know that all they're doing is using him as a scapegoat.
But everybody who's that type of caliber player, they already know they're on the line. Those guys know. If you're on special teams, 85% of them on special teams for a reason. You're barely fitting anywhere else. This is your only chance to stay on the team. You better be special. At least, and if you're going to do anything, don't stand out in a negative way. Dropping a fumble in the fourth quarter and you're a fledgling player, this 53-man on the team for a reason.
He had 10 fumbles. He's been around. He's fumbled 10 times.
That's the point.
No, but why was he on the team?
You can't
why was he on the team?
Because we need somebody to go out there for special teams.
Come on. You should have got the guy from Detroit.
You can't be Sir Fumbleitis. Come on now.
No, that
BS. Can't be your reputation. There's my man who fumbled all the time.
That's Aaron Glenn, who is trying to make this kid the scapegoat for him losing his first game. All right.
All right, Rob, so they're watching us right now, which means another thing they can do is what?
They can subscribe. All you got to do is hit that button, subscribe to The Odd Couple for some of the best sports talk content in the nation.
Facts, and while you're at it, they can like, they can comment, they can share. Do all that for us. We appreciate it. Just do all that right up in here.